You know, people always say time heals everything. But they never tell you how much it hurts while you're waiting. Last winter, something happened that I'll never forget. Something that shattered my heart, not because of strangers, but because it came from my own blood. It was a cold Sunday morning. The kind of morning where the wind feels like small blades cutting against your skin. I had just finished setting the table, 2 cups of tea, one for me and one for my daughter, Emily. She had come to visit after months. My heart was full, hoping we'd sit together, talk like old times, maybe laugh a little. But instead, she said something that froze me in place. She looked around my small, humble home, the same house her father and I built with our own hands, and she said, "Mom, you don't really need this big place anymore. It's time to think about the future." My future. I smiled softly, trying to understand. "What do you mean, sweetheart?" I asked, though deep down, a small knot of fear began to form in my chest. She sighed. "I mean, when you're gone, this house, the land, everything, it'll all come to me, right?" Those words hit me like a slap. "When you're gone." It was as if she had already buried me in her mind. I tried to steady my voice. "Emily, this isn't just a house," I said quietly. "It's where you were born. Where your father took his last breath. It's home." But she didn't seem to care. She just looked at me with this cold, businesslike expression I had never seen before. "Mom," she said, "you can't live forever. Why not make things easier now? Transfer everything to me. I'll handle it." Her tone was firm, practiced, like she'd been preparing to say this for a long time. My hands trembled slightly as I reached for my tea, but before I could even respond, she added words that broke me even deeper. "Mom, you don't really need to worry about these things anymore. You're old. Let me take care of it, before you forget how." I froze. My heart felt like it cracked open right there. Old. Forget. That's all I was to her now, a fragile, fading memory. She had no idea how many nights I'd stayed up late, sewing clothes, cleaning houses, selling my gold, all to make sure she'd never go without. She didn't see the mother who carried her through storms, she saw a signature waiting to be written. When she left that day, she kissed my cheek, but her eyes were already somewhere else. Thinking about money, not memories. I sat in that same chair for hours after she drove away, staring at the cup she'd left untouched. The tea had gone cold. My heart had too. You see, betrayal doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers in the voice of the one you love the most. That night, I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. Her words echoed in my head, "It'll all come to me, right?" And that's when something inside me changed. Because love doesn't mean letting people take your peace. Love doesn't mean becoming invisible to those you raised. So before the sun rose, I got out of bed and opened the old wooden chest where I keep every paper, every photograph, every secret. I took out the property deed, the one she thought she'd inherit. And right then, I made a decision. The next morning, I called my lawyer. And that phone call set off a chain of events that would change everything. But before I tell you what I did next, I want to say something to you, my dear listener. Hi, if you're new here, welcome to my little corner of stories. I'm so glad you're here. If this story has touched your heart even a little, make sure to subscribe and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. And if you've ever felt forgotten or hurt by someone you love, share a small piece of your story down below. You never know who might find comfort in your words. Because what happened next shocked even me. The very next morning, there was a knock on my door, a sound that would change everything. But that wasn't the whole story. That knock the next morning, I'll never forget how it sounded. Soft, polite, but heavy, like the world itself was waiting behind that door. When I opened it, there stood a man in a dark coat, his breath fogging in the cold air. He smiled kindly. "Mrs. Walker?" he asked. I nodded. "I'm Mr. Harris, from the law office you called yesterday." I invited him inside, offered him tea, though my hands were shaking so badly, I almost spilled it. He sat across from me at the kitchen table, opened his briefcase, and placed the papers in front of me. My name was written there, my name, clear and strong. I could almost hear my late husband's voice saying, "You earned everything you have, Martha. Don't let anyone take it from you." Mr. Harris looked up from the papers and asked softly, "You're sure you want to make this change, ma'am? It's unusual." I nodded. "Yes, I'm sure." I could feel the weight of my decision pressing down on my heart. I wasn't doing this out of anger. I wasn't trying to hurt Emily. I was doing it because love, without boundaries, turns into something dangerous. People forget respect when love asks for nothing in return. So, I signed the papers. With every stroke of the pen, it felt like I was reclaiming a piece of myself, the mother who had given everything, but still had a voice. When I finished, Mr. Harris smiled faintly and said, "It's done. The new deed will be recorded by tomorrow morning." I nodded, thanked him, and watched as he left. The house felt different after that, lighter, quieter, but also lonelier. That evening, as the sun dipped behind the trees, I sat on the porch with my granddaughter, Lily. She was only 12, full of questions, full of dreams. She looked up at me and asked, "Grandma, why were you talking to that man with the briefcase? Is something wrong?" I smiled. "No, sweetheart. I was just taking care of something important. Something for the future." She tilted her head. "For Mom." I hesitated. My heart ached at the innocence in her eyes. "No, darling," I said softly. "For you." That night, I lay awake, thinking of Emily, my little girl, who used to bring me flowers from the backyard, who used to fall asleep in my arms. Where had that warmth gone? Was it my fault? Did I love her too much, too freely, to the point that she forgot what love truly means? 2 days later, she came back, unannounced, uninvited, and full of purpose. I heard her car pull into the driveway. She slammed the door and came storming inside, her voice sharp. "Mom, why did I just get a call from your lawyer?" I stayed calm. "Because I wanted you to know what I've done." She crossed her arms. "What you've done? What are you talking about?" I walked over to the small wooden cabinet near the fireplace and took out the folder. I handed it to her. She looked down at it, eyes narrowing as she read the first page. Her voice broke when she spoke again. You transferred the house to Lily?" I nodded slowly. "Yes, I did." She threw the papers on the table, anger flashing across her face. "Why would you do that, Mom? I'm your daughter. You're giving everything to a child." I took a deep breath, my voice calm but firm. "Because, Emily, I wanted this home, your father's home, to stay in the hands of someone who still believes in love more than money. Someone who still sees family as family, not property." Her face went pale. "You think I don't care about you?" she shouted. I met her eyes. "I think you forgot how to." Silence filled the room, thick, heavy, unbearable. Her lips trembled as she spoke again, this time softer. "Mom, I was just trying to plan for the future." I shook my head. "No, sweetheart. You were trying to control it." She turned away, wiping tears she didn't want me to see. For a long time, neither of us said anything. The only sound was the faint creak of the rocking chair beside me. Then I said, "When your father died, I promised myself I'd protect this family, not the money, not the land, but the heart of it. I want Lily to know that love can't be bought or signed away." She didn't respond. She just stood there, staring at the papers on the table. Finally, she whispered, "You'll regret this." And with that, she grabbed her purse and walked out the door. I watched her car disappear down the dirt road, and my chest felt both heavy and light at the same time. I knew she was hurt. But deep down, I hoped one day she'd understand. Later that night, as the house grew quiet, Lily came into my room and climbed onto the bed beside me. She whispered, "Grandma, Mom's mad, isn't she?" I smiled faintly and brushed her hair back. "Sometimes, people get mad when they don't understand love yet." She nodded sleepily. "Will she come back?" I looked out the window at the stars and whispered, "I hope so, baby. I really hope so." Because what happened after that was something I never saw coming. The truth had only begun to unfold, and the very next morning, I got a phone call that would change everything once again. A soft rain fell that evening, tapping gently against the windows of my small living room. The house smelled like old wood and warm tea, the kind of scent that carries memories of every laughter and every tear shed within these walls. I was sitting in my chair by the fire, knitting quietly, when I heard a hesitant knock at the door. It wasn't the firm, confident kind that Emily usually gave. This one was slow, unsure. I opened the door, and there she was, my daughter. Her eyes were swollen, her hair unkempt, and her expression softer than I had seen in years. She looked small, like the little girl who used to hold my hand when she was afraid of thunderstorms. "Mom," she whispered, her voice trembling. I said nothing at first. I simply stepped aside and gestured for her to come in. She walked in slowly, clutching a small box in her hands. She sat down, looked around the house, and sighed. "It's still the same," she murmured. "The same curtains, the same pictures." "Yes," I said quietly, sitting across from her. "Some things don't need changing." For a moment, neither of us spoke. The fire crackled softly between us, filling the silence with its gentle rhythm. Then, she opened the box. Inside were old photographs, me, her father, her as a little girl, smiling, carefree, before life got so complicated. "I found these in the attic," she said, tears glistening in her eyes. "I forgot how happy we used to be." I reached over and picked up one of the photos, her 5th birthday. Her father was holding her, and I was laughing behind the cake. "We were happy," I said. "Even when things were hard, we always found a way to smile." Emily wiped her eyes. "Mom, I came to say I'm sorry." Those words hung in the air, fragile and real. She continued, her voice cracking. "When Dad died, I felt like everything fell apart. I was angry at life, at myself, and somehow, I took it out on you. I thought money, the house, all of it, would fix what I'd lost. But I was wrong. It wasn't the house I wanted, Mom. It was you." Tears filled my eyes before I could stop them. "Oh, Emily," I whispered, my hands trembling as I reached for hers. I never wanted to take anything from you. I just wanted to teach you that what we build with love can't be measured by what it's worth. She nodded, her lips quivering. I know that now. I just wish I hadn't realized it so late. I squeezed her hand gently. It's never too late to understand love, my dear. It's never too late to start again. For the first time in years, she leaned forward and hugged me. It wasn't the stiff, polite kind of hug she used to give. It was deep and trembling, filled with every unspoken word we'd both held inside. I felt her tears soak my shoulder, and I didn't move. I just held her, the way I used to when she was little and afraid of the dark. After a while, we sat together in silence. She looked at the old photo again and smiled softly. You gave the house to Liam, she said quietly. Yes, I replied. Because I wanted him to know where he comes from, to grow up surrounded by love and memories, not greed. She nodded slowly. He will. He loves this place. He told me he wants to plant sunflowers outside one day. I smiled, my heart swelling. Then he'll bring light back to it, just like his grandfather did. The rain outside grew heavier, but inside the house, it felt warm, alive again. Emily stood up and walked to the mantel, where a framed letter sat. She picked it up and turned toward me. What's this? She asked. I hesitated. That's your father's letter. I never showed it to you. He wrote it before he passed. Her eyes widened. Can I read it? I nodded. She unfolded the letter carefully. Her father's handwriting was faded but still strong. As she read aloud, her voice broke. My dearest Emily, if you ever lose your way in life, remember this: our home isn't made of bricks and wood. It's built from love, forgiveness, and the memories we create together. Take care of your mother, because one day, you'll realize she was your home all along. When she finished reading, her tears fell freely. She pressed the letter to her chest and whispered, I remember him saying that once. I smiled through my tears. He believed in love more than anything. And I think, deep down, you do too. She nodded, then walked over to me again, kneeling beside my chair. Mom, she said softly, I don't care about the will, or the house, or anything anymore. I just want to be your daughter again. I placed my hand on her cheek, wiping her tears away. You never stopped being my daughter, I said gently. You just needed to find your way back home. That night, Emily stayed with me. We cooked dinner together, just like we used to. We laughed at old memories, cried over the painful ones, and when little Liam woke up and came running into the kitchen, he saw us together and smiled. Grandma. Mommy. You're both here, he shouted, wrapping his arms around us. I looked at Emily, and for the first time, there was peace in her eyes, no anger, no regret, just love. As we sat there, 3 generations under one small roof, I realized something profound. Sometimes life has to break us apart before it brings us back together. Later that night, after everyone went to bed, I sat by the window, watching the moonlight pour over the garden. The house was quiet, but not empty. It was full of laughter again, full of warmth. And as the wind whispered through the trees outside, I thought of my husband's words, of the life we built, and of the family I was leaving behind, healed, whole, and ready to love again. I smiled and whispered to the night, now, this house truly belongs to love. And for the first time in a long, long while, I felt at peace.